what do we want to talk about here? You get some ideas?
Uh, yeah, I think I'd like to talk about the positives of uh, COVID-19 and lockdown and everything that all the changes and everything that we've had to bear. Yeah, I'd like to talk about the positives that have come out of it because we hear so often about the negatives and the drama and the panic and yeah, the media fuels it so much and
Mm,
people feel it as well. And I just think, and yeah, there is some discussion here and there about the positives of COVID-19 and lockdown, but I would like to add to that. I don't think there's enough of it. Um,
mm.
yeah, I think it's way out of balance. And I'm not saying there is no downside or suffering. I'm well aware of all the suffering that is happening for various people during this period in history, but I think it's so
Mm,
important to focus on the positives as well,
mm.
um, to help us get through it and to actually learn and grow from instead of just like enduring it and getting through it, actually growing from it and learning from it and becoming better through it and after it.
Mm. How's it been for you in your experience? Like, have you experienced in your life any new positive changes that you know that's personal for you?
Yeah. So before I say any of this stuff, I do want to say I'm well aware that it's impacted different people in different ways, and I'm
Mm,
really fortunate and grateful, very very grateful. Every day I'm grateful that for one I have job security, um, and I my family is healthy, and um, and I'm aware that everyone's experience of it is a bit different. And I know different people have lost jobs and all that, and now have job insecurity and all that. But at the same time, I also don't want to invalidate different people's experiences, including my own, just because I haven't, lost my job or anything. I think everyone. I think suffering is relative, and it's not about comparing who's suffering more or who's suffering less than each other. Everyone's experience is unique. So yeah, I'm well aware of that. So I'm going to speak from my own experience. The first lockdown in New Zealand, I loved it for 4 weeks. And then after 4 weeks, it took a very steep turn to very, very difficult. The last few weeks was very difficult for me. It's fairly sudden, actually. It's interesting. Um, and and so far in this current lockdown, about a week or so into it, and I'm really enjoying it. Similar to the first lockdown, I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying it even more because the first time it was more of an unknown. It was scarier, and I had a lot of panic and a lot of fear. But at the same time, I really enjoyed everything slowing down, and the whole country just like almost grinding to a halt. Um, I found it was a really good way to recharge my batteries, and I'm finding that the same this time as well. Especially because this time, because we're in level 3, so the bubbles are not quite as strict as level 4. I am able to see my kids pretty much every day during this lockdown,
mm,
um, and that's been really good because it's given me somewhere to go at the end of the workday. So I finish working from home. I finish my workday, and then I drive over to see my kids, and I spend the last few hours of the day with them, and I put them to bed with their mother and with their mother's help. um, and then I drive back home and make myself dinner, and so it's yeah. Whereas in level 4 in the first lockdown, um, I wasn't able to see my kids for about a month, and that was very difficult. Um, and yeah, but overall, yeah, I felt a lot of benefits have come out of it. It's really helped me. It's really helped me be more present and not worry so much about the future because I'm very
mm,
future focused, and I um,
mm,
have a tendency to catastrophize and worry about the future quite a bit. And what this experience with COVID-19 has really helped me really like, and it's something that if someone had told me this beforehand, I would have agreed wholeheartedly, but to actually experience something like this, it makes the lesson very, very real for me. And that lesson is that we are humans. We're fragile, we're vulnerable. Our time on this earth is not guaranteed. It's not secure. Security is an illusion. There's only a certain degree of safety we can manage for ourselves, and the rest is up to, often forces out of our control. And even though that could be a bleak thought to some people, to me, it's actually a really liberating thought and idea, because we don't know how long we have on this earth. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, even a few weeks from now. And it might sound like a cliche, but it's something I really feel deeply now. It's all we really have is the present moment. And it's not to say, we should take care for the future and be mindful of it and be responsible for the present so that we can ensure some stability and all that for a future time. But for me personally, the balance was quite out of whack before this experience. I was very future focused, and I've often struggled to really be genuinely present. It's always been a bit of an uphill battle for me. And I've done a lot of work, even before COVID, I had done a lot of work to try and be more present through meditation and mindfulness practices and things like that. And that did help somewhat, but this has really helped in a major way. It's made it it's very real. It's like there is a virus out there. It is something that's taken the whole world and really made the whole world really change what we're doing and make adaptations for it. So it's become very real. I can see it everywhere. It's not just something that's happening in some other country or you just hear it on the news. It's everywhere you go. The shops, the signs. It's present everywhere. So it's really shifted my perspective.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, this virus really put a whole spanner in the works, and it just literally said to the whole of society, "Stop, stop." Yeah. And it's interesting how it works that made us do that. Like, what other things in this world have that ability to actually make us go, okay, we gotta isolate ourselves, we gotta stay put for 2 weeks, we can't go on as usual. I mean, probably the only other big thing would be like the collapse of the economy, which is it's something that we definitely want to treat with care as well, because that is going to be devastation. A lot of people's jobs, more people's jobs. So in fact, it seems like a really mild way to go. Hey, just stop where you are, just stay put, and regroup. And maybe there are consequences of the regrouping. There's some things that come up that are maybe positive, but there are also negative things that do come to the surface. And I think that's what's happening. Is like hidden stuff just coming right out. And probably during lockdown. And also we start to think, what's really important in our lives? That could be another opportunity that us come into mind. But also then you also go, well, maybe it's a loss of certain things as well that make us realize what is important, like relationships. I saw a post recently about people being separated because one might be overseas and another one's in New Zealand, but they can't meet up. And it's been 6 months for some of my friends, or the friend who posted it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a real loss. But maybe it might bring to awareness that actually that's important. That's really important in their lives. Yeah. So I don't know, it's a reassessment that could be a real gain, an opportunity that we could easily forego, but here it is. So I'm wondering from that end, it also does talk about change, right? How does this? I mean, just deconstructing this change as an opportunity. Like, what what do you feel that you like you could probably change in your life as a result of this awareness right now?
Um, One thing that comes to mind, and is just like going out and doing things that, and not presuming that I'll always have the opportunity to do them. So one example that comes to mind was I went to a party just before this lockdown, when in New Zealand, when we were back at level 1 and you could do almost whatever you wanted other than fly internationally. I went to a disco night at Galatos off K Road, and I don't usually go to big parties like that where there's a lot of people. It's not something I do very often. I need to be really inspired and motivated and have the right company, and it's got to be all those things have to converge for me to really want to do something like that. And those things did converge this time. I had good friends going who are great company, and it's disco music from the 70s mainly, which I really like. But it's not something I do very often. But I was even more motivated to go because I was aware that, we had just experienced the big lockdown maybe a couple of months prior. And that was still kind of fresh in my memory. And I was just aware of how special it was to be able to go out in a large group of people and do this sort of thing and party. And so that was an added motivation. It was like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this, or we may not be able to do this in the near future. We might have to, you know what I mean? And we did go back into lockdown, and that kind of thing is not possible at the moment again. And because of that added motivation, we had a great time, a really, really great time. And as we were doing that, my family in Melbourne were absolutely envious. They're in level 4 over there. And it seemed so surreal to them that that I was partying in a room full of hundreds of people, where they couldn't even, gather with anyone. Basically, they're really locked down. They got a curfew. They can't even. My mum was telling me they can't even drive after 8 p.m. or something like that, unless they've got a special permit or something.
Oh my gosh! Are they still in lockdown at the moment?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
What's the date today?
Yeah, it was 6 weeks. That was the
6 weeks.
Which is even
So
so that's one example.
Yeah, it's 22nd today. So yeah, 22nd of August.
How long ago it's been since they started, but I feel like they're about 4 weeks into it. I feel.
Yeah, it's a long time, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one way, and that's one way I can think of just like, because just doing things and like that, and it could be the last time for a while that I can do something like this. So just do it. To be grateful for the fact that this sort of thing is possible. Because when you can always do something, it's easy to just like, I'll do it another time. I'll do it another time. But if it's it's the whole thing of the present moment, and just appreciating that whatever is in this moment, whatever opportunity there is in front of me, might not be there tomorrow or the next day or next week. So just grab hold of it and make what you want, make what you can.
It sounds like what you're describing is a sense of urgency, in a sense. Like, I think maybe, if I were to compare that with the idea that like live every day like it was your last, so you can really enjoy the present moment of every moment. Let's say we're terminal. We're terminal. We're gonna die one day anyway. That's for sure. But we always go, well, it's not tomorrow, so I can wait. I can not think about my bucket list. I can not think about my goals. I can be complacent. I can sit around. I can be a bit lazy too. But maybe that the whole mindset of like, it may not be able to happen in a month's time, you kind of go, well, maybe I'm going to make best use of the moment, not right now, and then there's the opportunity to actually realize the things that you want to achieve. Like a form of motivation, so to speak. But then if you live every day like that for the rest of your life, then you realize that you can be quite fulfilled because you're gonna have this, the pleasure of the dopamine, reward. Like, yeah, I've done my goals, I've done my plan, I've achieved something. You don't have any regrets as a result of that. So it's very interesting how this COVID-19 situation is kind of reflective of that mortality of the future.
Yeah.
And then you just go, oh yeah, maybe I'll learn the guitar now. I'll play more songs. I'll learn the F chord. Yeah, yeah, maybe I'll spend more time with my kids. Maybe I would do more exercise or learn something new and things like that. Carpe diem. Seize the day.
But even just more than that, on a different level, is just like saying what I believe and expressing an opinion, not being so. And it's even affected me on that level.
Yeah.
Even doing this podcast, I mean, an hour and a half ago, I had a different plan for this morning. I had a bunch of things I was planning to do, and then when I realized this was an opportunity, I thought, let's do it. All we have is the present moment. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And even expressing my opinions and my thoughts. It's really helped me even on that level, and just being a little bit more open with people and not worrying so much about what people think of me. And the other thing that's really helped me realize is how my attempts to control the future and be able to predict what's going to happen in the future, they're very, very limited. So some care is always good it's always good to take some care about the future and to control what I can control. But there's a lot we can't predict about the future. And, life throws us curveballs and, so that's another thing that's been a really great thing to take on board.
Yeah, uncertainty is even more amplified these days. When I went through my meditation course, one of the observations that we had about how our mind works is that we tend to be very, our mind like projects in two ways, one into the future and one into the past. And the mind that projects in the future tends to be anxious, has anxiety associated with that, the fear of the unknown. And then the one that's projected to the past is dominated by regret. So you'll find that in the course of meditation, you realize that our mind seldom stays in the middle, in the center, and that's what the training is about. The meditation is all about being here and now. And because our minds don't orientate like that naturally, we have to train to be here and now. And that's very interesting how that works. But it's a survival mechanism. Learn from the past, worry about what's to come. And then what we have now is a situation where there's a lot more to worry about what's to come, because you and I, we don't know. We don't know what the facts and what the information is still rolling in. We just don't know. We don't know where to place ourselves, except for the comfort that actually right now I've got no COVID. I'm at home. I'm safe. So are you. We know where our family is. At least right here, right now, there's no reason to be in a panic mode. There's no reason to feel like there's a threat around the corner. We are privileged in the West to have that feeling. I mean, maybe not so much in a different country, but for us where we are right now, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we have this environment.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that it is a survival a mechanism to have that worry about the future and the regret of the past. So not to be ashamed of it or just trying to suppress it. But being aware, that's what the brain is doing. It's trying to keep you safe, but not to just buy into everything it tries to scare you with or make you regret. Not, separating from thoughts, all that kind of mindfulness stuff is. It's just really important to be aware of what the brain is doing, so that we feel like we have some choice about whether to follow those thoughts and act them out, or whether we just decide to let them be, let them rise up and then dissolve away in their own time, of their own momentum, and just carry on focusing on the present and what we can do and what we want to do with our actions and our behavior, the choice that we do have. It would be a lot even harder, like if I didn't have a job right now and I was in that kind of mode, it'd be a lot harder to appreciate. I would find it much harder to appreciate these learnings, because I'd be more focused on actual survival. So I'm aware of that.
Exactly. So in that, I think I'll definitely acknowledge my privilege here, and I want to extend some empathy to the people out there who are actually really struggling, and they'll be in a completely different situation as what I'm in as well. So I want to acknowledge that, but at the same time, it's very hard to compare different people's struggles as well, and what someone would be struggling physically about, with money, for example, may not be for another person. I struggle in my own way with regards to other things as well. So it's very hard to talk about it in equal terms like that. I think everyone generally, safe to say, we're going through our own stuff as well, but definitely different degrees of stuff. But I feel that this gives a chance to lose all that stuff that doesn't serve us as well, and also to recalibrate what's actually important. So maybe this simplifying that's going on in society right now, which is an unintended consequence of COVID situation.
Even to the point of it's even helping me appreciate simple things that I absolutely, and I think a lot of people take for granted, like the ability to go out to a shop and buy something. There's just the in-between period from our first lockdown to this lockdown, of whatever it was, 2 or 3 months or thereabouts. I just for that whole time, every time I'd go out into public, I would actually have the thought at least once that, isn't this cool and interesting that I can do this? That, just made me really present in that way. I just looked around and it's just marveling at all these things that are working, functioning. Like we've got, buses, and we've got shops, people buying things from shops, and we've got the civilization that's not, tearing each other to bits. Everything we want, most of what we want, well, certainly everything we need is pretty much taken care of. Especially now that the supermarkets have really learned to adapt to COVID, and like in this current lockdown, they didn't seem to go out of stock much at all, from what I can tell. They were prepared for it.
Lots of toilet paper. Eh?
That's another podcast topic. And even things like just going out and buying a pair of runners, which I delayed doing, and then now, like, I needed a new pair of runners, but I kind of just was a bit complacent about it. And now that we're in the second lockdown, I was like, I should have done it I should have done it before this current lockdown when I had the chance. And I will have another chance again. But when I do, I'll be like, isn't this cool that I can go and replace my runners? Whereas in the past, I was like, I just need to go buy a new runner. Just helps me, like, just appreciate just even simple things like that seem mundane, but just existence or something, like simple things.
That's a very good point. I love it. It's like you're gaining this appreciation for the little things that we normally take for granted. And I feel that sometimes we do need reminders like that. We always talk about gratitude and stuff, but I think it means more in a situation when you feel that you need some sort of stability or foundations from which to gain some your centeredness, and acknowledging things that we have is such a good place to start.
And it helps when it's forced as well.
Yeah.
Leave it up to humans of our own free will to try and manufacture gratitude or cultivate it.
Yeah.
Different people do different things. Some people meditate, some people have gratitude practices and all that, but there's nothing like a bit of just collective enforcement of gratitude. Lock it in, whether you want to or not.
You're only allowed out of lockdown after you say 20 things you're grateful for. Obviously, that's ridiculous, but hey.
I had another ridiculous idea. Actually, during the first lockdown, I had a ridiculous idea of having a forced, once COVID and all that has passed and it's no longer a major danger threat, to have a forced lockdown once a month every year. Like say, for example, every March, or pick a month, and maybe we could have a referendum to choose the month, or we could have a referendum to choose whether we do this, and then also we get to choose what month it is, kind of like the flag thing, like yes or no for the flag, and then which flag do you like? Ask the public if they want 1 month in the year where it's a forced lockdown, and it would be separate to annual leave and holiday. So it wouldn't be like your holiday. It'd be something everyone takes collectively. And because it's the same month every year, business, and this is a ridiculous idea, but probably, maybe not, but business could plan for it because they know it's the same month every year. So they know they plan for that. They know that there's going to be no or purchases and whatever. Everything's just going to grind to a halt apart from essential services and all that. Use the COVID lockdown as a model, but make it a mental health initiative where every month, one month a year, everyone has to slow down, and you still get to take your holidays on a different time of the year and your annual leave. So it's separate to all that. It's just it doesn't take away annual leave or anything like that. It's just a month or 4 weeks where everyone slows down. Because the recharge that I feel during lockdown is, I really believe it's a lot more effective than going on holiday a lot of the time. Because it's forced and it simplifies life. Because going on holiday doesn't necessarily simplify life. It can, depending on where you go and what you do, but it's something you really got to kind of coordinate. But this forced lockdown, it's forced simplification of life and forcing everyone to slow down. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. And that's the opportunity. Rest is a great opportunity from lockdown. Yeah. You can gain a lot of that. Regrouping, recalibration, being the present, and then rest. It's part of nature, like every time we go through a winter period, that's actually hibernation period. Most animals hide away somewhere, but here we are, humans, just busting away our asses in the office and on the internet, discussing stuff on Facebook. You're like, come on, just hibernate, all right? So actually, I think naturally we are meant to actually rest, but we defy that. We push those boundaries. Go, nah, our economy is more important. Our survival is more important. But okay, it's true. Yeah, our survival does depend on pushing through with our jobs, even in winter. Although our body is not designed to really, our body is designed to sleep in. At times, but no. But maybe it talks about our society. How off balance are we? Maybe this is showing like, actually, no, it's not cool how we're going the way we are. We need to make some changes for long-term benefit. And we obviously have been doing something really unsustainable.
Yeah. It seems like that kind of change is difficult to make because how globally connected we are economically. So it feels like it would be, I'm not too well versed in economics and all that, but it feels like it would be hard for like one country to do that. for example, grind to a halt for a month in the year or something, because trading, importing, and exporting, and even we seem to be linked to the world. I think in a previous time in history where countries were more economically isolated or self-sustaining, I guess. I'm not even sure if that's before the times of global trade and all that, where countries had to I presume, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, but I guess countries had to sort themselves out, grow their own food, and work out how to get their own economies going without relying on international trade and all that kind of thing. It'd be easier to have made significant changes to the economy and to how life flows in a particular country or community. But now everything's so connected that it seems like there would be repercussions. Doing something in one place would affect other parts in the world, and unless every country is going to do it, or most of the world, it seems like it wouldn't work. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Politics is driven by the economy. It's straight up, growth and GDP and all that stuff has always been every government's priority, and governments get voted in a democracy to maintain their status quo. So actually, it's kind of counterintuitive for humans to go, no, actually, we got to stop the economy for a little while for our own health benefit. I see a long way before that actually happens, but certainly I feel that this is the opportunity to start thinking about how we're going to lead our lives, and perhaps there might be a middle way. There might be a solution that's less drastic than that. You can have your pie and eat it too, hopefully. Gluten-free pie. Yeah.
Very inclusive.
But yeah, I'm aware about the time as well. I feel that this has been a really good discussion to bring up some thinking around the unintended gains, that we learned from this, and the learning process in itself is an unintended gain, an opportunity. The presence was a very big part of the discussion, which I felt was really important. Gratitude, acknowledgement.
Well, yeah. I hope this is just adds to the dialogue out there about the positives to come out of it, the unintended consequences, as you say. And I hope it contributes to that focus on the positives, because there's so much negatives out there. And I actually would like to say that I hear a lot from people about the benefits of switching off from the news during this period. I'm just hearing that a lot from people, the mental health benefits of switching off. And I don't want to get into a discussion at this point about my grievances with the media about how they add to the panic and the anxiety, and go way beyond what their role in society is to inform people so they can make educated choices. They just go way beyond and just sow fear and panic. Not sure, just to get eyeballs on screens and get click-through and engagement rates, just so they can impress their advertisers. I don't know. It's a whole other discussion. But I would encourage people to try to stay off the news as much as possible, especially if they know that it's causing them anxiety. And I think it's potentially easier to learn those lessons, those positive lessons from this period, if there's less exposure to the things that cause panic and hysteria, because the media are very good at causing panic and hysteria. They've made a real fine art of it. So staying away from that, I think, actually also helps to maintain gratitude and to be present and all that kind of thing.
True that. Well, thanks, Andrew, for this great conversation. Certainly, there's more to deconstruct from this, and also more to add onto this. So there'll be a topic for another time. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.